Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1763 of our daily content grind. Today we need to discuss Sunstorm, because I've been noticing a pattern when it comes to this character, and it's highly relevant because Hasbro just officially announced we're getting a brand new one. I take umbrage with the way we're getting it, but hey, we're getting it, so hey, we need to talk about it at least, right? So, what you see on screen right now is basically what Sunstorm is supposed to look like. Okay, so you got it? You got it memorized? Okay, we're going to very quickly move through here because I want to show you what the multipack is if you have not seen it. Now, before we go any farther, I will warn everybody watching, this is going to be a level of complaint as pathetic as the stripe on Ironhide. So prepare for me to be a little bit petty and picky. Here is your multipack. It's basically all the Seekers with Storm in their name. Sunstorm, of course, but then you also have Nova Storm, Ion Storm, and then at the front there you have Acid Storm. That might be the only one that you are familiar with out of the Rainmakers because he actually got a toy in 2008 from Universe 2.0. And it was kind of a big deal that a Rainmaker got a toy back then. But that said, the only time you ever see Rainmakers like this with Earth modes is when they were crammed into the Classics figure. Most of the time, you only see them on Cybertron, meaning they really should not have Earth modes. They should have Tetrajets. Honestly, aside from the pointless battle damage deco on the Siege version of the Rainmakers, I think they were absolutely perfect releases. They looked exactly like they did in the cartoon. They turned into Tetrajets, kinda. It really didn't need any other. Like, that is your definitive release of these characters. You know, if anything, just retool them to be less greebled, get rid of the paint that's useless, and then you got a set. You're perfect. This just feels like an excuse to repaint a mold that's already going to get a ton of repaints. I'm not entirely sure why it exists. It is made to order. You have a limited time to order it, and it's not like a HasLab, so there's not going to be stretch goals, and you're not going to have to worry about it not making a minimum. They're just going to make however many people order. Okay, as an experiment, let's go with it. So, I take weird issue with it because it's not how the Rainmakers are supposed to be depicted. That's really pedantic. That's petty of me. Sunstorm should not be in this multi-pack in the least. Aside from the fact that I think he's a more significant character that would sell at retail, he is not, in fact, a Rainmaker, despite the name matching the others. He's what we call part of the Welcoming Committee, which were the Decepticons who actually fought Wheeljack and Bumblebee on Cybertron in the very first episode of Transformers. This is the original origin, by the way. This is not like something they went back, oh, well, we go back in time and say that generic character in the background is this character. It's not one of those. E-Hobby, who made the original Sunstorm toy, looking for just anything to repaint a Starscream into, they took inspiration from this scene, and I presume seeing that the others looked a little bit too close to what already existed, went with the one that stands out. So congratulations, Sunstorm is born. Now, the version we have here is supposed to be based on that depiction. Despite not being a Tetrajet or anything, he is supposed to be based on that coloring. So he has the white around the midsection, and he has white for the intakes, which frankly looks bizarre to me. And this is where I'm taking my issue. So, yes, it's weird that they are going for show accurate with this Sunstorm figure, despite the changes that they've made to the Rainmakers themselves. They have Earth modes. Their colors are two-toned rather than being solid. It is not an accurate depiction of the Rainmakers. But for Sunstorm, they have gone cartoon accurate, which feels a little bit odd to me. And it feels even more odd because that's not the iconic depiction of Sunstorm. This is Sunstorm from the Dreamwave series War and Peace. And it's what makes Sunstorm a cool character. It's what makes him a character at all. He is a character with a god complex, built with a fusion engine, fusion reactor built in that is emitting radiation at all times. He is highly radioactive, and that's kind of cool. Like it gives him this like supercharged burning aura, but also this god complex thing, and it makes him a very threatening villain. The kind of villain I tell you Transformers needs more of, that in between Megatron and Unicron. You know how like Marvel Comics has characters like Null and Apocalypse, where they pose such a bigger threat than your standard villain of the week that the real stuff has to happen in order to handle them? That's the kind of villain lacking in Transformers. Sunstorm fits that niche, and I really wish they would do that more often. So yeah, it's kind of weird to me that they depict it incorrectly from his only real iconic appearance. Now, I will grant you this. While eHobby did make an effort to actually make a toy based off of that depiction of Sunstorm, they were limited by what the mold could do. The intakes here are orange because it's part of Starscream's diecast. They had to be orange because the diecast had to all be painted the same color. So in that, they were kind of stuck. But again, we're going for that is how the character looked. So that is how it's supposed to be. And then we get a long history of Sunstorms that never get it right. Do you realize we've never had a Sunstorm as a normal retail release? They have always been relegated to store exclusives or niche collector lines. You know, there was no Sunstorm in Universe or Generations or anything that we have today. There was none in Studio Series or anything like that. Like, at no point, you know, and Sunstorm is only a character that only came up in one cartoon. So at no point have we gotten a proper one. So just to give you an example, just to give you like a look through here, the closest we came to just a normal retail release Sunstorm was this guy in titanium of all places. He was a last wave titanium release. He is technically mass retail, but again, he's part of a niche collector line, if you can consider someone a collector of titanium. But he also has a weird problem of, well, that's not his color scheme, is it? Now he's yellow and orange. So we've gotten it wrong. We have gotten it wrong. Now, granted, it's a mold that was never supposed to be in these colors. They just kind of crammed it into their War Within / War for Cybertron-esque mold. But we'll take it, right? We'll take it for what it is. But it is still weird. If you want the weirder one, we have to go to BotCon and the Classics version. Oh, this one is a train wreck. So now you're wondering, well, why did they throw black and gray into Sunstorm of all things? You know, we're talking, this whole video is about a good, accurate Sunstorm has never been released, and then we go into the Classics and BotCon, which is supposed to get all this right, and this is what happened. Well, so FunPub was deciding they were going to make Sunstorm for one of their upcoming exclusives. Okay, fine. Well, they got wind toward the last minute that Takara was also planning to release a classic-style Sunstorm for their own toy lines. So they had to backpedal. They came up with, I believe, the Nova Storm name. Nova Storm or Ion Storm. I can't remember which one it was. One of the other storms was a last-minute change to the character, and then they switched a lot of the white to black to separate it out from the character Takara was going to release. Well, then Takara found out that Hasbro was planning to release a Sunstorm, so they canceled their release. Problem is, Hasbro wasn't planning to release a Sunstorm. They confused it with FunPub's plans. So by the time we got this all back around and sorted out, Sunstorm got to be Sunstorm, but the colors were too late to change. Thus, we have black in our Sunstorms now. And a Classics mold that never got to have the character in anything close to a correct deco. Like I said, the one toy that was actually in a main line was the animated. And the animated actually does do a pretty good job. They threw a lot more red in there, but, you know, animated played with a lot of the color schemes. It is still primarily an orange seeker. The coloring there is right. The white is in the correct spots. This is satisfying. I am completely okay with this. This was a Target exclusive. So once again, not mass retail, technically. Only one store. So, and that pattern continues as well. Like, Universe had its own. Universe 1.0, that is. And they did a Sunstorm toy because that's when Sunstorm was kind of the hot thing amongst collectors, because it was this brand new G1 character that Japan had invented, and we didn't get to have it in the States. So Hasbro tried to capitulate, and we got Thrust redone as Sunstorm. So, I mean, the shades of orange are right. We got the color shades right. Nothing really else is going on correct here because they crammed a character in. I do love this era of just whatever mold we have that's kind of close, just cram the character in, we'll make it work. I do love this era. It's playful and it's weird and it's fun to talk about. But it's certainly not the Sunstorm that we were looking for. It was just the closest we could come at the time. Granted, none of the Starscream molds from the time were ever used for Sunstorm. That would have been a far more obvious use. But, yeah, this is as close as we came. Actually, the closest that Hasbro ever got to properly depicting Sunstorm was in the Heroes of Cybertron line of all things, and frankly, this one also feels weird. The color layout is correct. I don't know what this butterscotch yellow is all about. Like, it looks like the color of my dog's droppings that make me want to take her to the vet. Like, it's a sickly brown. It's not a pleasant color in the least. It looks like that one crayon that is still untouched after you've used up the rest of the box, because it's just not a color you ever want anything to be. It's just an ugly burnt yellow, and it's not pleasant. And again, it's weird. The only time you see Sunstorm in modern toys is in those little weird niche lines that they do simply to keep a trademark active. So that would be things like your Bot Shots. And in Bot Shots, he's translucent orange with no other drapings whatsoever. Now, truth be told, I could kind of get behind a translucent Sunstorm. I know, this is me saying it. But it does lend a little bit to the whole radiation aspect and the special abilities that he has if he had this bit of, like, glow to him from light going through his parts. And all you really had to do on this one was get the paint correct, the little paint that you were using. Why is the head gray? Why is the head gray? But you know what? At least this is orange. I mean, you could be Takara. Takara decided Sunstorm needed to be yellow with blue accents. Where did the blue come from? Takara, what are you doing? I know it's just a weird little gimmicky kids line, but couldn't you at least try? Couldn't you at least use the right color shade if you're going to make this a Sunstorm? It's a weird one. It's a super weird. And here's the problem. Yes, you could go back and forth on what color Sunstorm was in the original Welcoming Committee scene. But it's largely decided he's supposed to be creamsicle orange, or at least, again, because his most popular depictions were in that color, we would kind of like him to maintain that color. But every now and then, a deco artist gets it in their head, that's yellow. Sunstorm is the yellow one. So we get weird things like this. We didn't even get the color of the head correct here. Jeez, these little pull tab transformer toys they tried to do. These were so weird. Goofy, but weird. Yeah, and this is where Sunstorm has to live, because Hasbro didn't want him in any of the main lines for whatever reason. He's in Creo as well. seems Sunstorm made it into Creo. Some of his orange is there. Like a little bit of his orange is there. Again, niche lines. Stupid little weird lines. But that goes all the way up. Certainly, if we're doing Masterpiece, certainly we could get this right. Couldn't we? Kinda? So Takara decided to release Sunstorm as a Masterpiece figure, and again, it is heavily based not on his most popular depiction, but on his original depiction from the G1 cartoon. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say this. Nobody cares about G1 cartoon Sunstorm. Literally no one, because he's a complete non-character who did absolutely nothing. He's just a background seeker that somehow we have glorified, and you won't even use the version of him that's the glorified one. So yeah, he's yellow in this one. Now, I will grant you, if you're basing it solely off of that one little frame of animation, it's entirely accurate. White intakes, white midsection, okay, fine. The little bit of weirdness in the biceps being white and all that. You know, there's a little bit of black thrown in that shouldn't be there, but you know what? Okay, fine. Fine. Okay, in a way this works, but why would you do a Sunstorm that wasn't the most popular version? But I'm being a little bit harsh here. This one is mostly okay, aside from he shouldn't be yellow. And they added weird flame tampographs to his vehicle mode. I always forget those are there. But it could be worse. Could be the Hasbro version. Let's get this straight. This is not Sunstorm. This is Ronald McDonald. This is absolutely Ronald McDonald. I don't know where all the red in the robot mode came from. I don't know why his lower legs are white and not his feet. I don't know why his ribs are white instead of his waistline. I don't know why he is completely yellow with not a trace of orange on him whatsoever. I don't know why his head is brown. This thing is a mess, and I don't just mean because he's got one of the most hilariously bad stock photos of all time. No, this thing is just absurd in its coloring. I don't understand. I don't understand why this is so hard for so many people. This isn't even remotely close. Like, I have to assume a Hasbro deco artist was just like, yeah, just throw whatever color, just make it. They forgot that this is a toy line. Masterpiece is a toy line for adult collectors, and they tried to appeal to kids by doing like bright colors and breaking up the yellow. No! Just make it look correct. That's all we want. That's all collectors want. You know who got it correct back in the day? Palisade and their statue. Sunstorm used to be prominent enough in the Transformers community that even statues were produced for this character. That's been a hot minute since we got that. But here you go. Two-tone orange. The intakes are orange. The white's in all the right spots. This deco is spot on. Here's another deco that's spot on. MDLX did a Sunstorm that is pretty much exactly what I would want out of a depiction of the character. Hey, even Yellow Park got it right for their AMK mini line. That's a good looking Sunstorm, and I don't know why on earth this is so hard for Hasbro to do. You either I was gonna say you either shunt them in, you either get them right or shunt them in. No, they've never gotten them right. They've never gotten them right. Now, you might be going, but wait. You remember seeing a listing that said Dreamwave Sunstorm was on the way, right? You saw this leak. And everything else in this leak seemed to actually come true. We have the Gen Prime Seeker multipack. That's what this 4-pack is. We've started seeing Monster Jam Transformers. The Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine got revealed. We've got stuff that actually does confirm that everything on this list is happening. We also have Nate from the Transformer team that completely shot it down over on Instagram. No, we've confirmed that they are not planning to release individual characters from this multi-pack, and Dreamwave Sunstorm is not planned, never was planned. If they were going to happen, it would have to wait until at least 2029, because that's how far in advance they have penciled everything in. I don't know where the original rumor for Dreamwave Sunstorm is his own thing came from, but look, that ain't Dreamwave Sunstorm. That is not. Man, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know why, of all Seekers, Sunstorm left an impression on me because of his Dreamwave depiction of all things. I just thought it was a really, really cool, untapped concept of a character, and I would have loved to have actually had an accurate toy depiction of him that seems to never be happening. Now, that said, what we're seeing here, this is a mock-up. All 4 of these Seekers are just Thundercrackers that have been hand repainted into these decos. This has not gone to production yet. It will not go into production until the month-and-a-half timer, I believe it's a 45-day timer. Until those pre-order windows close, this thing is not in production. So maybe if we raise enough noise, maybe if we make Hasbro well aware that this is not the way Sunstorm needs to be depicted, maybe, possibly, we get them to change this before then. Because this is still hand paint, it's still possible. Probably not, and I'm probably being way too picky about it in the first place. You know, it's still a better Sunstorm than anything else we've gotten for the last 2 decades. But no, that's me wanting to gripe for the day. I just want an orange Seeker that looks like the comic books, man. Like, don't know why that's hard. Here, let me know in the comment section below. Am I being way too picky? Is this too far even for me? You know, or are you on my side? It's like, hey, we're getting a Sunstorm, and they didn't get it right. But let me know in the comment section below. And as always, I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.